Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So currently it is April 1st. It is the start of a new month, which means we're going to do a new election prediction between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. We're roughly 7 months away from the presidential election. And while it is April Fool's Day, this is a serious prediction. This is not an April Fool's video. But we are going to fill this map out and see what the state of the race is right now. Currently, Trump leads the polls by 1% over Joe Biden. This is a little bit changed from last month at the start of the month where Trump led the polls by 2%, but not quite a big surge. You see more liberal polls like Quinnipiac in the aggregate. You see more Republican-leaning outlier polls like Rasmussen that have fallen out of the aggregate, so it's not really like a lot has changed. Joe Biden's approval rating has maintained its very low point. It's kind of gone down a little bit, and across the battleground states, Donald Trump leads the polls in all of them, including now the state of Pennsylvania, where Joe Biden led the average at the start of March. Donald Trump has now taken the lead, even though some of the polls and places like Georgia that had him up 7 kind of come back down to reality a little bit, but he's still up big. He's up by 5 there. So without further ado, we're going to fill out this map, see what I anticipate to go down this November as the race sits right now. We're going to start off with the safe Republican states, giving Donald Trump the states he is going to win no matter what by more than 10 percentage points when it is all said and done. We're going to give him the state of Alaska and Iowa and Ohio. They will be entering the safe Republican column, as well as Maine's 2nd congressional district. So out of the gate, Trump starts off with 147 electoral votes. Biden, on the other hand, he will be getting a lot of the West Coast and the East Coast states will be added to his column. Maine's 1st district and the state of Illinois, Hawaii, and yes, Colorado. So already Biden has 163 out of the gate. Trump has 147. Now we're going to fill out the likely states, the states that are going to be going into either Trump's or Biden's column by 5 to 10 percentage points. We could start off with Texas, where we've even seen polls with Donald Trump having a lead of over 10, which is an insane turnaround because a lot of Democrats after 2020, they were really hoping to make Texas the clear battleground of 2024, but it has not really materialized. Republicans did well there in the midterms. They did well there in the primary with turnout. There was no enthusiasm for Biden. Biden is unpopular in Texas. He's also unpopular in the state of Florida. The Biden campaign thinks they can contest these states and flip them, or at least help out with the down ballot races, but it doesn't really seem like that is going to end up being the case, even with abortion on the ballot in the state of Florida. I do anticipate Donald Trump to take both of these states by 5 to 10 percentage points, possibly closer to 10 when it is all said and done. And on the Democrat side, the state of Virginia, I think that will go in Biden's column by closer to 5 points than 10 points. You're seeing a turnaround. Donald Trump getting the endorsement of the sitting governor there in Glenn Youngkin. Probably not enough to move the needle to flip the state, but it's not something that is a negative development. So we'll give Virginia to Trump. Also forgot New York in the safe column, as well as Nebraska at large. That one is usually missed when filling out the map now that they changed up the way that YAPMS does their districts, but still, Donald Trump 219, Biden 204 as of right now. Also Biden in New Mexico. This state is an interesting one because Trump is doing better with Hispanics, but he did worse in 2020 among white voters that are living in the state of New Mexico. If he can kind of stop the bleeding there and then, continue the Hispanic gains, could it get closer? It's possible. The state GOP really is kind of in shambles, though, so it's kind of a little bit of an uphill climb. Not a state that's going to be contested, especially as it's only 5 electoral votes and kind of a long shot. So, without further ado, I think we're going to be going into the states that will end up in the lean Republican column. We're going to start off with the state of North Carolina. North Carolina is a state that Donald Trump won both times. It seems as if he's going to end up winning it again in 2022. Republicans did better in the Charlotte area. They did much better continuing the trends in the northeastern part of the state as well as the southeastern part. A lot of these counties across the eastern part of the state outside of the Research Triangle are moving to the right, and it doesn't really seem like you're going to see a lot of leftward shift in the western part of the state outside of Asheville. So I do believe that North Carolina, Trump's going to win it by 2 to 5 percentage points, putting it in the lean Republican column. Also, the state of Georgia, this is kind of coming out of left field because Democrats, they were hoping to never lose this state again in the foreseeable future. But still, Donald Trump coming out of the gate in the polling average, he's polling above 50%, which is a very good sign for Donald Trump. Biden's really struggling to energize black voters in the state. And also you have the Laken Riley case that kind of really hits home for a lot of Georgians because that took place at the University of Georgia, and Biden completely bungled his response to it, basically defended the murderer, saying people like him built the country, while he butchered Laken Riley's name, calling her Lincoln Riley, who is the head coach of the USC Trojans football team. Not a very good look for Joe Biden in that department. Now, we're going to be filling out some of the lean Democrat states. We have Maine at large here. This one's interesting because Trump's leading the polls, but also they're anticipating a very, very high third-party vote share. And while RFK Jr. very well could get on the ballot, I think he'll do well in Maine compared to other states. I don't think he's going to get 20%. I think Trump will end up falling a little bit short, but maybe his performance could be good enough where Jared Golden could go down in Maine's 2nd district. Also, Nebraska's 2nd district. I think that this one is going to go back into the Democrat column. Just looking at the district trends, you name it, Republicans really dropped the ball by not redistricting the district, making it more Republican friendly, because they had that opportunity. They completely dropped the ball. Then you have the state of New Hampshire where RFK Jr. is on the ballot. They don't like incumbents, but still, there's a lot of TDS up there for one reason or another. We saw that with all of the ridiculous amount of crossovers for Nikki Haley that we saw in the Republican primary. I think that this state could be close. It was close in 2016, but still, I do anticipate Donald Trump to go out there and, lose the state by a few points. This should stay in Biden's column. Another one that's interesting, though, is the state of Minnesota. Biden did very poorly there in the primary. We talk about the uncommitted vote in places like Michigan being high, or, Biden defectors in Texas or North Carolina existing in high numbers. Minnesota, Biden only got like 70% there. And this is a state where Republicans do well, or at least, margin-wise lose by less when there's third-party candidates in the mix that get a decent amount of votes. And RFK Jr., Cornel West, Jill Stein definitely appealing, at least the latter two, to the Palestine crowd in the Minneapolis area, which leans very far to the left. Yeah, I do believe that Joe Biden very well could be in for a tough ride in the state of Minnesota. I still think at the end of the day he wins it. Republicans haven't won the state since 1972, and Minneapolis is still Minneapolis, but you never know. With the right amount of the third-party vote share in the mix, it's possible the state could be a sleeper flip. I think it's more likely Republicans win that than Democrats win Florida or Texas or maybe even North Carolina. That's a little bit of a stretch at this point, but still, Republicans are going to hold North Carolina. Democrats are likely going to hold Minnesota, but it is going to be closer than 2020. So without further ado, we have 5 states remaining. Donald Trump can win if he just gets the state of Pennsylvania. This is going to be a tough state to get for Donald Trump compared to what one would have originally anticipated, because we always see Michigan as the one in the big 3 that's the worst for Biden, but polling is showing a little bit of a different story. Part of it is because of the Susquehanna pollster, which had really weird methodology by location, and it's also a small sample size, but Trump is leading in all of the other polls in the mix. I think Donald Trump can win Pennsylvania. Seems like the whole automatic voter registration has backfired. Republicans continue to close the gap. And there's a lot of room for growth. I think you will see that growth, and I think the Democrats are going to struggle in the city of Philadelphia. I think they're close to maxed in some of the suburban counties if you have presidential level turnout. And because you have presidential level turnout, the rurals are going to come out hard for Donald Trump. He'll likely improve in the northeastern Pennsylvania area where the novelty of Scranton Joe is gone. So already Pennsylvania will be narrowly in Trump's column. That will put him at 270. He doesn't need to win any other states, but he's going to. We're going to move to the state of Michigan here. Donald Trump leads Joe Biden by 3.5 points in Michigan, which is insane. There's not a single poll in the aggregate, and there's quite a few polls in the aggregate that have Trump down. He's up in every single poll, or he's tied. Joe Biden at this point in 2020 led in Michigan by 4. 2016 at this point, Hillary Clinton was leading Trump by 10. Trump won the state in 2016. I think he's going to win it again in 2024. You have several factors at play, such as black enthusiasm for Biden, not where it was in 2020, coupled with the fact that you're potentially going to see a big drop-off for Democrats among Arab American voters because of how Biden has handled the conflict in the Middle East. He's managed to make both sides of the conflict angry. The only unity he's really achieved is now that pretty much everybody dislikes him, besides hardcore Democrats who will vote blue no matter who, but they're not a majority of the country. And that's true. So now we go to Wisconsin. Wisconsin, Republicans never lead the polls in Wisconsin. Donald Trump, when he won in 2016, the final aggregate had him down by 6 to 7 points. 2020, we saw a similar polling miss in the state. Trump on the ballot, it's just a different ball game in the state of Wisconsin. But still, he's leading Biden in the polls. And there's so much room for growth for Republicans in the state. You talk about these counties in the Driftless area that are light pink, they're going to get darker. And Biden, in terms of the WOW counties, he might gain some in Ozaukee, but it's not really going to be enough to offset that. And even though you're likely going to see high turnout in Madison, you possibly could see lower turnout in Milwaukee. These smaller areas are going to probably get redder. Yeah, I think Wisconsin's going to flip into Donald Trump's column, and he's going to get the blue wall back in terms of the fact that it's going to be a red wall. And compared to 2016, it's gotten 10 feet taller. So then you go to the Southwest, our final two states here, Arizona and Nevada. We'll start off with Arizona. This is huge. Trump is close to 50 in the state, believe it or not. He's at 48.8, which if he's doing that in Arizona with the third-party candidates in the mix, and that's without any undecideds allocated to Trump, Donald Trump is going to win the state of Arizona, plain and simple, even if he doesn't gain much in the undecided column. And you see that here. And Biden is somebody who has completely fumbled the border issue. That's not going to help him in the state. On top of that, he's bleeding support among Hispanic voters and close to hitting a wall with a lot of these suburban college-educated voters in the state. Republicans are actually turning a corner in the registration numbers in the state of Arizona, which is also potentially a good sign for Donald Trump. And overall, I think that even if he just gets his 2020 percentage, he's going to win the election as a result. As the turnout dynamic shifts in his favor, Democrats drop off at a higher rate than Republicans, and also the third-party candidates in the mix can placate some of those Biden Republican, voters who might have voted for Gary Johnson or Evan McMuffin in the 2016 election. So there you go. Now we go to Nevada, where Donald Trump has a polling lead of 3 percentage points in the state, and you talk about the state's demography. A lot of Hispanic voters moving to the right, and white non-college voters who are also moving to the right. And what that's going to do is provide Republicans a sizable, trend in their column like we saw even in 2020 in the state. Even in the midterms, they still gained some statewide offices there. I think that Donald Trump will win the state of Nevada. He'll be the first Republican president to win the state, or presidential candidate to win the state, since 2004. And there we go. That will be the election prediction for this month of April. Donald Trump with 312 electoral votes. Joe Biden with 226. Not a lot has changed, but still, We do have a long way to go and a lot can change, so that's why people need to get out and vote this November and not be complacent. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.